Hi everyone, it's me Adriana and welcome back to another YouTube video. So October has come to an end and I thought that it would be a good idea to share with you guys my favorite first watches of October. This means that I'm going to share with you guys my favorite movies that I watched in October for the very first time. Obviously October is a month where everybody sits to watch their favorite Halloween movies and their favorite scary movies, which I did a lot. I did a lot of rewatching this month, but as well, I did watch a couple of new Halloween / horror movies, and I thought that it'd be fun to share them with you guys. I'm going to be sharing my top 5 of the first watches of the month, and also this video will contain spoilers for all these movies, so if you want to see a list of movies, they're going to be in the description below alongside their little time frame. So if you want to skip to the next one, you can always just hit skip and you can just move on to the next movie that I'm going to be talking about. Alright, so the first movie I'm going to be talking about is Psycho. I think we all know what Psycho is. Psycho is literally a horror movie classic that came out in 1960. Going into this movie, I kind of knew what the plot twist was. I knew that Janet Leigh's character, Marion, was going to die in the middle of the movie because I guess with pop culture and everything, we kind of already know some spoilers of some popular movies. So with Psycho, I already knew that she was going to die at the end, like in the middle, that she didn't die at the end, like maybe some people might think that that's how the movie goes. I already knew the plot twist in the movie, but I did not know in full the plot of the movie. I think that watching Psycho, you would already expect the scene in the shower where Janet Leigh's character gets killed by Norman Bates. But I didn't know the entire plot of the movie, which goes as follows. Psycho is a movie about a woman who commits a crime. She steals money, basically, and she's running away from home, running away from her past, and she finds in the Bates Motel, which is where she ends up dying. And then for the rest of the movie, it's up to her sister and her boyfriend to find her or find the person who kidnapped her, essentially. So yeah, this movie was pretty creepy. Besides, obviously, the scene that we all know, I think that Norman Bates was a very, very good killer, I guess. I don't know if he would be considered a serial killer. I mean, he did kill there was a private investigator as well who was hired to find Marion. He was also killed by Norman Bates. So, yeah, I don't know if he would be considered a serial killer or just a murderer. While watching this movie, I figured that this would become one of my favorite horror movies because, I don't know, I was intrigued the entire way through. I think that this movie is one of those movies that will capture your attention. I think that's something that Alfred Hitchcock is really, really good at doing. I've seen The Birds and I've seen To Catch a Thief, and Alfred Hitchcock is really, really good at capturing your attention. I don't know what it is that he does. I have no idea, but you will watch the entire movie for sure if you are into the horror, mystery, crime genre. You would definitely like Psycho. Alright, so the second movie I'm going to be talking about is The Blair Witch Project. This has also turned into one of my favorite horror movies. I got to watch this with 2 of my roommates and we were creeped out the entire time. I had to use Wikipedia at some point to look up the plot because we were just so tense the entire time. We just needed to know a little bit of what was going to happen next so we wouldn't be so scared. So the Blair Witch Project is about these documentarians who go into a forest in the search of the legend of the Blair Witch, basically, and the entire movie, it's a found footage movie. It basically spoils the end for you, at the beginning, which is telling you that it's found footage. They don't know what happened to the people who recorded this. The people probably died, which is what happened, or they disappeared. And the people who, released the documentary found this footage in the forest and decided to release it to the public. So this is basically the grandmother of found footage movies. I think we've all seen the Paranormal Activity movies. This is basically, kind of a predecessor to that movie, or what's another movie that's I guess Into the Storm is another movie, although I don't know if that's a found footage movie, but it was kind of recorded from the point of view of a character holding a camera, and basically that's what it is. Yeah, the Blair Witch Project, I don't know if the Blair Witch Project was a movie that originated this, but it is probably the most famous one to use this style of cinematography. yeah, this movie was very scary because it depended on the characters' reactions. We never got to see the Blair Witch. We never got to, you know, actually see her face or see her body or apparition. We only got to see things that the Blair Witch did, or we only had to depend on the reactions of the characters to feel scared, you know, because since it was a found footage movie, you kind of felt like you were there with them and that you were feeling what they were feeling, because as if they were like part of your group or you were part of their group. So yeah, that was very, very scary. I do recommend watching. The next movie I'm going to be talking about is Midsommar. Now, Midsommar is a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a really, really, really long time, but I've always been scared to actually watch it. I had it, well, it's still on my list of movies that I wanted to watch during quarantine back in 2020. That was one of the first 10 movies on the list, but I was really, really scared to watch it, and I finally got around to it just in time for spooky season for Halloween. And yeah, this movie is interesting. It's definitely a psychological thriller. So this movie is about a girl named Danny who goes to this festival in Sweden. She had recently gone through a very devastating loss in her life, and she's trying to cope with that grief, and she's trying to cope with all of her emotions, and she goes to this festival with her boyfriend who is awful and his friends who are also awful, and a lot of strange things start happening there, like strange violent things start happening there. And the thing about this movie is that this movie is made with like, you know, it's like edited with like vibrant colors, and the costumes are color white, and they're like all like so festive, but really this movie is just really dark. It's a very dark movie, and you know, it's decorated to seem as if it's just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like it's a very pretty festival, and they're like very like, you know, I guess like bohemic, or I don't know what the word to call it, but yeah, it's like it makes you feel like, oh, like you're safe, like this movie's gonna get better, and these are good people who are just having this festival, but at the end of the day they do a lot of weird things that you know, just make you want to try and escape because you don't want to be there anymore. And yeah, a lot of the times I did cover my eyes while watching this movie. I will say that there were a couple moments where I was just like, oh, I don't want to see this. I need to close my eyes. I can't. And obviously Florence Pugh, amazing. She's incredible. She's obviously, we already know that she's an incredibly talented actress. This one, like, obviously we got to see the famous like scene where she has her famous frown, and then she starts smiling because she was the May Queen. Like, it was great. I think that it's not my favorite scary movie for sure. I think that, you know, for me, Psycho and The Blair Witch Project were a little bit better than Midsommar, but I still enjoyed it. I think that it was like a really, really good movie, and if you like psychological thrillers, this one's for you. Alright, the next one is The Fly. The Fly is basically the most visually disgusting movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's why I love it. I think that this is essentially what sci-fi horror is meant to be. I think that obviously it was meant to be disgusting. It was meant to disgust audiences because The Fly, let me explain to you what The Fly is. The Fly is a movie about a scientist who creates a machine that can transport matter from one place to another. You know, a teleportation device, essentially. And one day, he decides to try it out himself, and a fly gets into the machine alongside with him, and he did not notice. And when he comes out, his DNA is genetically altered with the fly's DNA. So the rest of the movie is just him, aka Jeff Goldblum, one of the best, oh my gosh, I love him, just transforming into the fly. He was turning into a fly. He's amazing. Gina Davis is amazing. Most of the movie is just him and Gina Davis. Like, there are not a lot of characters in this movie. Essentially, there's just three main characters, and then that's it. This movie mainly focuses on his reaction with Gina Davis and how she's a journalist who at first she was just trying to do a article on Seth, which is Jeff Goldblum's character, and then they end up falling in love and she falls in love with him. If you like horror movies and you're not squeamish and you love sci-fi horror, go ahead. I think that you will definitely love this movie. I think that the makeup that they did was amazing. The special effects was amazing. Alright, so my last favorite of the month is not really a movie, it's more of a special. And you already know that I need to talk about Marvel. You guys know that I love Marvel. So I'm going to talk about Werewolf by Night, which is Marvel's first ever special that they released. It was a Halloween special and it was really, really nice to see. I enjoyed it quite a lot. The characters were really, really likable, and you know, I feel like it was too short. I wanted it to be longer, but I feel like if it were longer, then it'd be turned into a movie, because it was already like 40 minutes long. So if you add 40 more minutes, that's essentially an entire movie. So Werewolf by Night is a TV special. You can find it on Disney Plus, and it's about these monster hunters who gather at the home of their leader who had passed away, and they were doing a monster hunt trying to get a rock called the Bloodstone, if I'm not mistaken. And essentially the entire movie is about that, hunting for the Bloodstone, while also hunting down a big monster that is in the maze where they're supposed to find the Bloodstone. And I think that this movie, TV special it was very nice to see, because obviously Marvel, you know, Marvel is not known for a lot of violence. Or if there is violence, you know, most of the time we won't get to see a lot of like gory violence. I keep forgetting it's TV special. This TV special kind of breaks those boundaries. We do get to see blood. We do get to see a lot more violence that we will get to see like in an R-rated action movie. Not like intense violence, but we do get to see some aspects of it that are basically like, you know, kind of new to Marvel. You know, obviously Marvel for the last couple movies, they have been playing around with a little bit more action and more like thrilling experiences. This special does the job for it, and if you like action and you like horror, and it's also in black and white, which we don't really get a lot of black and white movies, at least mainstream. You know, Marvel is more mainstream, so I guess this could count as mainstream. We don't get a lot of black and white in mainstream right now, so if you like black and white stuff, definitely check it out. If you like more action, definitely check it out. If you like Marvel and you haven't seen it, check it out. So we have reached the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow me on social media. I am being more active on social media now, especially on Instagram and TikTok. So if you guys want to follow me on either of those, as well as my Twitter, make sure to do that. They're in the screen right now, or in the description below if you want to check it out later. Also, I put them up in my channel, like overall, so you can also find them there as well. And also make sure to subscribe if you want to get more videos. Hit the like button if you like this video, and hit the bell icon to get notified every single time I post a video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Bye!